Hi, I'm Nuar. I'm excited to be here with all of you, especially you. Am I too close to the mic? Okay. I'm going to read a little bit from a new book, which is a book of fragments, so I'm going to jump around. The door to my interior was propped open and a fly buzzed in. To repossess my thoughts as a car gets repossessed if payment hasn't been made, but what kind of debt is owed and to whom? The photos on the wall of his house, dashing then death, like the moment before fainting, the voices on the car radio shifting from the rear to the front speakers, subito fortissimo, then syncope. I stood in the loudness of my thoughts like a cutout superimposed onto the background scene. Shots of sidebar and awe. Transparence interests me, wrote Louise Bourgeois in a notebook. I want to be transparent. If people could see through me, they could not help loving me. Forgive me. Within, a chattering of girls who talk and talk, startling murmuration of mathematical chaos across my sky. Why do you talk so much? What is it that you have to hide? I pace back and forth like indecision in an old movie. All of my attention is on a hangnail. I move it to feel the pain. Thinking off the page, a plane circling over its destination, waiting for a signal to land. The small pocket, merely decorative, is sewn shut, no place for holding. Some people are like that. Sewn pockets can't hold a thing. If only the surface of the painting would crack and release the wild syntax of gulls, low-tide stench, hankering of gnats, something real. Hemingway would record every detail around an event, say a bomb exploding, then take out the event and leave only its reverberations. I've been walking through reverberations with no sense of what the event was. In the 1980s, Coke ran an advertising campaign that involved collecting bottle caps. Each cap had a word or a letter written inside, and if you collected all the caps necessary to read Coke, the real thing, you'd win a spectacular prize. The trick was to flood the market with seemingly infinite numbers of bottle caps with the words and letters to the words Coke, the, and thing, but limit access to the real. Yet maybe it was more lesson than trick. In Jacques Lacan's triad of the symbolic, the imaginary, and the real, you also can't get at the real. The psychic market is similarly flooded with the imaginary and the symbolic. It's not about Coke, the actual drink, but the transcendent experience you imagine in drinking it, as well as the message your drinking Coke will transmit to yourself and others about who you are. Maybe it's impossible to get real, and that's the $1 million revelation. Why did they care so much, all the king's horses and all the king's men? Was nothing else happening in the kingdom? Was Humpty Dumpty somehow important to the greater good? Or was it the impulse to put the pieces back together again, revert to an idyllic image of cohesion, avoid fragmentation at all cost? Picasso's faces are Humpty and lost. Tonight I will go out with the face of shatter, Cubist celebration without hankering to cohere. I want to be at least as alive as the vulgar. A text message in the night poked into my dreams like a magnetic rod and scrambled them, redistributing the metal shavings. On my way to the meeting, neither emperor nor bride, I will observe the courtly spectacle from afar. Went to a party. Everyone seemed the same. Strangers. God will vomit out the lukewarm. A yes so out of tune it sounds like a no, and I can't tell what I'm listening to. Yesterday I passed a flattened rat on 3rd Avenue in front of the original Zesties. It lay like a pressed flower with kept color, the original red and gray. Most of what happens does so without me, like revelation, the ocean pulling back unexpectedly. All the clocks in this place are off. Midnight is morning and I'm late to my thoughts, catch only a wave of skirt as a door closes behind. Picked up slides of my biopsies, beautiful pink swirls, elongated S's. Does my heart sit on fault lines? If I cut off the crust, everything will fall apart by noon. I'm tiptoeing around my life. What is beneath my feet, or beneath, the visible ground? A murder of crows to the west. I imagine some kind of an end stop, a period followed by a page break, or just a page break with silence where the period would have been. They give me a bad feeling, like the smell of yeast. The thought of them smells like yeast. Dinner at Sera's, I was a hog, talking and talking. I surprise myself when I get that way, jabbing people's shins with my heels as I rush by. Anxiety, regretting what I said, but it is not the what that makes me feel shame. Rather, it's the desire to be transparent, which is transparently the desire to be loved, forgiven, seen. I wonder if the person who found my notebook is having thoughts that I've repressed. If I have almonds, I will eat almonds, but if I don't have almonds, will I think of them? Do we think of what we don't have, or is thinking a kind of having a kind of thinking, as with the characters in Gulliver's Travels who carry the objects they need in conversation in sacks on their backs? If you want to let go of something, you have to let go of the thought of it. Last night I dreamt a text message, darling, then a line of code, numbers and letters, but the meaning? Or is the message empty, the code impossible to crack? It's only communication, keep thinking, holding on. If you work too hard on anything, it turns to shit. Children sculpting with Play-Doh, not knowing when to walk away, all colors to brown. The moral is, of course, don't write one-act plays. Punctuation of grief. Thank you.